with you until 2 o'clock. We appreciate Jason Bone, senior PGA Tour champion, who was in our studio the first hour. Just a fascinating story. He was 19 years old. He was a golfer at the University of Alabama, won $1 million. Hole-in-one contest, had to...
Healed a 9-iron, 135-foot shot.
He had to declare as a professional athlete because back then you could not stay on. You could not earn any money whatsoever. You were declared a pro. And
1992, feel like $1 million would change your life.
So he was 19. He won $1 million with a hole-in-one. Then he was 42 years old, had a heart attack after a round of golf on the tour, and was taken to the hospital, and they found out that he had his Widowmaker 99% blocked. So they took care of that, and he's had a really good run on the Senior PGA Tour, and he will be at the Regions Tradition coming up at the end of the month. We've also told you about some comments by Greg Byrne to USA Today in regards to the SEC championship game, saying, I think the ship has sailed. It's run its course. It's a great event. I don't like the idea of it going away, but I think it's a reality with the expanded playoff. We already know that Chris Del Conte, the athletics director at the University of Texas, he thinks the game should go away. We know Lane Kiffin is not a fan of the SEC championship game, and I think many other coaches are going to feel that way now that we have the 9-game SEC schedule that will come into existence this fall. So,
I started thinking about with the Final Four, and I know why they don't do it, but would there ever be anything monetarily that would attract for the semifinal games for the college football playoff? We do them like a Final Four format. You got a game on Thursday night, you got a game on Friday, or a game on Friday and a game on Saturday, all at the same venue where you make it a fan fest, kind of a Final Four type thing before you play your final game. I realize there's different sites that are set up for the different semifinals, but couldn't you do that?
I would think so.
Would you want to do that? You turn it into a Super Bowl-like fanfare atmosphere for your semifinal games. But I would expect that we're going to get all kinds of tweaks. First of all, we're going to have to decide, do we want to expand from 12 to 16? Do we want to go to 20, 24, even beyond that? But you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I do. The rumor in Atlanta, and this was just a bunch of people talking, obviously, but the situation was, could you have the first two teams in the regular season, number 1 and number 2, could you find themselves being at home, resting up for the college football playoff? But then you would have the third team in the regular season standings played the team that was finishing 6th, and then 4 versus 5 over a weekend, like a Friday night. You would play 3 versus 6 or 4 versus 5, and then on Saturday, in the spot that typically the SEC championship would be, is that where you would obviously have?
Do you base it on your standings, or do you base it on where they are in the college football playoff rankings? Because maybe you look at who's got the best shot. The two teams might not always line up as far as how a team's finish.
Right.
If they finish 3rd or 4th, maybe it's not that other team. So do you base it on college football playoff rankings? You take teams that from the SEC that happen to be teams 11 and 13.
Yeah.
But maybe they're 4th and 6th in the standings.
That is a good thought. I think this conversation will be one that they will have as a group in Destin coming up Memorial Day week. Yesterday, the NCAA Division I cabinet, they have approved a strict penalty for those that take transfers who did not enter the transfer portal for all sports, not just college football. We have had instances. We had the Wisconsin player that just basically withdrew from school, did not go in the transfer portal, withdrew from school, ended up on Miami's campus, played football for Miami. So they want to stop that, not only in football, but other sports. So the NCAA, they passed it. So it is now policy. If this happens at a school, that head coach of whatever team it is, they will be suspended for 50% of the season.
That's good.
50%. The program will then be fined. They'll be fined 20% of the total budget of that particular sport. So you're talking football. That's
significant.
That's a healthy amount.
But I like how the head coach is held accountable.
Mm-hmm. He will be stopped from participating in activities for 50% of the regular season. A program would then been fined 20% of the budget. This is meant to discourage players from unenrolling outside of the portal window.
Well, it also
to transfer.
discourages programs from using GAs as scapegoats, or, you know what, it's all right. If they catch this guy, it's fine. Don't worry, JR, we'll take care of you.
Yeah. Matt Stahl from AL.com, he was on the program about a week ago. And speaking of Greg Byrne, and speaking of the rules that was just enacted yesterday, in a conversation with AL.com's Matt Stahl, Alabama AD Greg Byrne suggests that we're going to see, talking about rule breakers, I think a potential crossroads on whether schools should be allowed to participate in conferences if they are choosing to not follow the rules with regards to player compensation. Matt Stahl followed up that conversation and asked whether he was suggesting schools should get booted out of the SEC for breaking player compensation rules. Byrne says there should be consequences for those actions, end of quote. So Greg Byrne making a lot of headlines this morning.
Yeah. I feel like kicking them out of the conference might be. I guess if you really had to get their attention, that would be the way to do it.
Let me ask you this question. If you're a certain school, let's say the upper tier of an SEC, let's use LSU as an example. If they go over and they break a rule, and let's just say that the SEC says, we're done with you, LSU. Do you not think that there would be another conference that would pick them up immediately? Yes. Or they would be in independent status and they would be able to do anything what they wanted to do anyway?
Yeah. Yes.
If Auburn's kicked out of the SEC, do you not think the ACC would take them in a heartbeat?
I do. I think the Big 12 would take them in a heartbeat.
Same with Alabama.
Yeah.
So this threatening a school.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. That's why I said that seemed like that would be the last resort, and then kind of tongue in cheek, I guess that would get their attention. Don't see that ever happening. But I think it is a start in going back to the penalty for the ghost transfers. Because my original thought was, how are you going, and this kind of goes back to tampering, how are you going to curtail tampering? Well, a scholarship here or there, you're not going to shut it down, but make it where it's a show cause and it's a mandatory 3-year show cause for tampering. But maybe this way, coach loses 50% of his games, and now you get fined 20% of your overall budget for whatever sport, and we're just going to play. We're going to say it's football for right here.
Yeah.
What is Ohio State's budget for football?
Oh.
$300 million. So $60 million of your budget goes away.
That'll get your attention
because your guy wanted this extra DB and told him just to unenroll. Yeah. Show up on your campus. Very interesting times we're working through. It does seem like we're making some progress on some of the fronts.
Some fronts, yes. We've been trying to
get in touch with Rocco.
Yes. As a matter of fact, once we get him on hold, we're going to go ahead and run to a commercial timeout. And then when we come back, we'll have plenty of time to talk to our – is he good?
He's at shoot around right now with Auburn.
Is that what he is?
He's teaching them how to make threes.
Or defend the three.
Or defend the three.
That might be more apropos. All right, when we come back on Three Man Front, we'll go to Indianapolis, talk to our bracketologist. Rocco Miller will join the show next. It is 12:14 here on Jocks. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front. We have got so much basketball going on up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Starts tonight. We got the NIT Final Four. Then we've got the NCAA Final Four. And joining us are local, yes, Three Man Fronts, bracketologist.
Rocco, my bracket is busted.
Rocco Miller joins us now on Three Man Front. Rocco, how's Indy?
It's been great, guys. It's good to be on with you. I think I was the first one in town on Tuesday, which I do every year, just to, learn the area, figure out where to be. And then yesterday things got rolling. You saw a bunch of people show up and ran into probably 30 or 40 head coaches last night. And now the ball is certainly rolling. Today's a very big day. As you mentioned, the NIT is going to happen here tonight. A ton of different events for the people in the industry, whether it's coaches, journalists, and basically everybody involved in basketball at different levels. And then tomorrow the fans start rolling in. So every day it's just a gradual build-up towards Saturday. And just being here for the whole week, really you can feel that each day. And it's such a cool experience each year.
It really is, Rocco. Being a part of it last year in San Antonio and then in 2019 in Minneapolis. But there's other things going on other than the game. There's a lot of notable coaches that will be meeting there, kind of a convention. They'll have breakout sessions and different things. From the folks that you talk to, whether they're in Indianapolis or prior to leaving, what do you think the biggest buzz topics will be for those conversations in the future of college basketball moving forward?
Well, of course, tournament expansion, right?
Sure.
That's on everybody's mind. That came up several times last night. I'm not in the NCAA level meetings, but I am at the NCAA hotel. So just walking around, I've seen most of the selection committee already. I've seen Dan Gavitt. It was good to touch base with those guys in between meetings, and you can pick up little tea leaves as the day goes on. But yeah, that's the big one. And then I also just think, a lot of little things like yesterday. We had that delay. I'm trying to remember what game it happened in.
Yeah, the horn, the horn crowd.
Horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's talking about that last night. This company was the company responsible for the horn.
Was it Daktronics? Who was in charge of that?
It was Daktronics' competitor. So I was actually talking with the owner of Daktronics. Great question. And I can't believe we're talking about this. But, yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Like they're thinking about getting rid of the horn company, going back to Daktronics. Just all these things that the average fan might not ever pay attention to, but it's super fascinating.
Oh, listen.
And that's where these decisions get made for next year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that whole horn situation, that was something else. And the reason I brought up Daktronics.
For the people who don't know about the horn situation.
Yeah, for those that don't remember, maybe they missed that. Which game was it, Rocco, that the horn went on for a couple of minutes before they were able to? Was it the Illinois, Iowa?
I
think you're right. I think that might have been
it. You know why?
Yeah.
Because I was getting ready to do Arizona Purdue. I was there on site, and I kept looking at my phone, and it kept saying there was still 7 minutes till halftime. I'm like, why is there still 7 minutes till halftime? And then I finally walked back there, and somebody told me there's an 11-minute horn delay.
Yeah, so it says it was an 11-minute delay.
Yep. 11 minutes.
Yep.
The scoreboard froze, locking the horn in the on position.
That is
in
crazy.
The Elite Eight of all games, we're basically the whole world's watching. Right?
Yeah,
so
and the reason I brought up Daktronics is because at the end of the Alabama basketball season against Georgia over in Athens, they had an issue with the shot clock and with the clock, and it was a Daktronics situation. So I was about to say, man, if someone owns stock in Daktronics, they've had a rough last month or so based on that. But now I know that it was the competitor of Daktronics with the horn problem. So, all right, let's talk basketball. Let's talk about the NCAA Final Four. Let's talk about Elliot Cadeau. What's the latest with him? Is that going to be good to go for Michigan?
I mean, but everything they're going to tell us is that he's fine. So we have to operate with that being the only information.
Right.
Maybe there's slight concern, right? I mean, the fact that it happened during practice is concerning. I don't think, today will be their last really hard practice. You guys are probably familiar with the Friday Final Four routine of putting on a show for an hour in front of the fans in the Dome tomorrow, but they are not going to be going over any game plan stuff or any strategy. So, I think he'll probably sit that thing out tomorrow. And so, he might play a full game and it might be an afterthought, but it also could be concerning. And you're also looking at a similar position where LJ Kaysen, we know, has already been out, and they've had certain matchups like the loss to Purdue in the Big Ten title game stands out. where guard play just wasn't where it needed to be. And now you're going up against an Arizona team where I already think even with a healthy Cadeau, Arizona's got the edge in the backcourt. So pretty important to keep your eye on.
What about the other side of the Final Four? Because this is an Illinois team that you identified early. You love their size, how they shoot it. You just talked about the big human beings on the court.
Yep.
Illinois' got it rolling right now. You look at Arizona, you look at Michigan, but would Illinois be the biggest contender just the way that they shape up, size up to those potential other opponents to maybe shock everybody and win it all?
Right. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think their upside has always been the highest throughout the season, especially for a team that was kind of ranked between 7 and 12 most of the way. In fact, they were 13th back in week 6. That's the one stat everybody talks about, that the national champion has to be in the top 12. They were actually 13th. So Illinois got a chance to break that streak. But I just think that, they played UConn, but it was way back when Wagler, I think he only played like 10 minutes in the game. They look way different now than that game when they lost by 13 to UConn. When they played Michigan, the game got away from them. I think they'd have a lot of adjustments if they get to play them again on Monday. So I agree with that. I think they're extremely deadly. I think there was a lot of pressure playing Iowa, and that game was a stalemate for about 32 minutes. And then you saw what happened those last 8 minutes. They really closed it out with a bunch of stops, some big-time buckets to get some separation, and ultimately win the thing by 12. And I also think the confidence of beating Houston and clearly being the better team in that game, that's got to bring Illinois to a whole new level of confidence. And that's what basketball is all about. So I definitely agree with that. I would not be shocked if they win the whole thing. But at the same time, you've got UConn. They've got new life. They know they were dead in the water, and now they're suddenly here. That's a dangerous proposition as well. So there's a lot to like, I think, about all 4 teams.
I have to ask you this because when you're at an event like you are, and there's so many people that you'll be able to talk to off the record, you'll hear buzz in the industry. I have to ask you about North Carolina. I know they're probably going big game hunting. What are you hearing on that job from being boots on the ground there at the Final Four? Are the big names, whether it's Arizona's head coach, whether it's Dusty May at Michigan, do you think they're holding out for these guys to try to have a conversation? What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, that's along the same lines I'm hearing. I don't know who to believe in all of that because I think everybody's got an opinion on it, but I want to talk to the people that are really on the inside. And the general sense around here the last couple nights is that if Arizona lost to Michigan Saturday, that there's a much stronger chance, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but a much stronger chance that Lloyd could be the coach by Monday. That would give them Saturday night into Sunday to get everything finalized and go that direction. Now, I still kind of believe that he's going to stay at Arizona. I mean, I was with him last week. He loves it there. They've got a great, they got to replace a lot of guys next year, but they've already got a great pipeline. I watched the McDonald's All-America game a couple nights ago, and I know they have 3 or 4 of those guys coming in. So they'll be fine next year. So that's the one train of thought with him. The other train of thought is Billy Donovan seems to be getting serious. Now, I just don't know. It makes a lot of sense to me from Billy Donovan's point of view. Like, what a great place for him to land after being away for this long in the NBA, and things aren't going great in the NBA this year for him. So it makes all the sense in the world for Mr. Donovan. But where does it make sense for North Carolina? That's where I'm struggling with it. I think North Carolina is obviously one of the elite jobs, a blue blood job, and they're finally willing to go outside of the Carolina family. I think they have access to all the names, right? You could see maybe a Grant McCasland from Texas Tech or TJ Otzelberger. I don't think Otzelberger does it. He's already kind of addressed it personally, but just keep in mind that this could be a shocker because North Carolina has access to literally everybody. And the people they really want, guys like Michael Jordan, are making the phone calls for them. So how are you going to turn down a call from Michael Jordan? You're just not. So just keep your ears peeled. Nothing would totally shock me.
What's been the overall consensus? I'm sorry, we're talking about all this gossip and stuff off the court, but Will Wade returning to LSU. What's been the consensus with you? Hey, we're all friends here. You can tell us.
The consensus is everybody's pissed. They hate what he did to NC State. Bad for the industry. There's a lot of people impacted by that, that got left behind and looking for jobs and that kind of thing. But what I've continued to say from my outside view, and just knowing Will for all these years, whether it was VCU, LSU, getting fired, getting back to McNeese, really getting to know him at McNeese since they were mid-major, and that's really my cup of tea. Will Wade's always going to play by his own rules. He always has. So this is just another step where he's one step ahead of the what's normal and what's acceptable in college sports. And I think a lot of people don't realize, but even when he was coaching NC State this year, he was still the GM at McNeese. I mean, all those players McNeese had this year, those are Will Wade's guys. He's basically an unpaid GM to make sure McNeese is good. Bill Armstrong's his best friend, their head coach. And he's got a ear to the ground in Louisiana every single day while he was in Raleigh. And so he's completely connected. And once the biggest thing for that was Heath Schroyer, the AD at McNeese, getting the deputy AD job at LSU. Once that domino hit, this deal was done because Heath and Will are connected at the hip. So they're going to do everything they can funding-wise to get the players they need. And whether he's going to win in the SEC or not is a different argument. But this is Will Wade's track, and he was never leaving it.
Rocco, before I let you go, as we wrap things up for this basketball season, when it's all said and done on Monday night, I know you've been a big fan of Illinois, very complimentary of that basketball team. Who do you think ultimately will cut the nets down on Monday night?
I could look really smart and stick with them, couldn't I? I got really sold on Arizona last week, just seeing them up close. They just have no holes, and they could beat you with 7 different players. And I just think with Arizona, Michigan, I keep thinking about that game, so I think that's the one everybody's, really looking for. I think Illinois, UConn will be great, but this Arizona-Michigan game's got serious blockbuster buildup. And you look at Adare Mara for Michigan, right? 7-3. Well, Krivas is basically 7-3, so they can neutralize him. You look at the front court of Yaxel Lindenborg and Morez Johnson Jr. Well, they have Arizona's got Koa Tobiawaka and Karachnikov, right? They got so much mass. They're so strong. I watched Arizona bulldoze Purdue, who, they're no slouch, and they just completely did whatever they wanted in the lane. Michigan just wants to get up and down. I think Arizona is going to be pretty deliberate with them, and I think they can match up, and eventually Michigan's going to have to miss some shots. But I think Arizona breaks through, and I just think if they get to the championship game, they're going to cut down the nets. They just got more overall skill than Illinois. Illinois ran into issues during the Big Ten where they were just a little softer. Now, maybe that's changed with that Houston win like we talked about. So we'll go with an Illinois-Arizona final just to keep our Illinois theme going as far as possible. But I think at this point I'm sold that Arizona's going to win this thing.
That is Rocco Miller, our resident bracketologist. Rocco, I can't thank you enough personally for everything you've done for us during the college basketball season, for another season.
Thank you, Rocco.
Your work with Field of 68 and obviously on your own website, the bracketeer.org. It goes without saying you're the best in the business, and we appreciate getting to know you over the last few years and your honesty and just the fact that you know the game better than anybody that we talk to during the basketball season. We appreciate that.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. I love being on with you guys, and it's let's keep it going.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Well, Rocco, listen, enjoy your time there in Indy. Should be a fantastic Easter weekend, and best to you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rocco.
Yeah, best to you guys. Happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is Rocco Miller, man.
Such a great dude.
Just a top-notch fella, and he knows the game of basketball. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Mandu in downtown Homewood, that's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's all FDA approved. And because of this revolutionary technology, folks are getting fit here in Metro Birmingham and now across the state of Alabama in as little as 15 minutes. That's right. Because of the EMS technology, the electrical muscle stimulation fitness technology, you're going to get a 6-hour gym workout in 15 minutes. That's right. 15 minutes. Because of that technology. I can't explain how it works. I can tell you it does work because I've been a part of Mandu. Damian Mitchell here at the station has been a part of Mandu, and many others. They've said, does it really work? Just try it. And here's the great thing about Mandu. They're going to let you try it absolutely free. Your first visit is free. They put you in the suit. You pick out your size. You get in the suit. They get you suited up. They'll give you some instructions. And then you'll have a trainer that takes you through a 15-minute workout. Try it. MANDUU.com. You'll be glad you did. Mandu in downtown Homewood. MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jock sent you. We continue here on Three Man Front on a beautiful Thursday.
Great conversation with Rocco Miller. If you missed that, Jason Bone. That was a fantastic interview, the first hour of the show. Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider. You can always download the Three Man Front podcast. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line. You can 205-834-9450. Big story coming from Lubbock, Texas. Don't know if you've seen this, and I love it. It's got a lot of juice to it. You got a lot of back and forth already. Apparently, Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference, and the richest man in college football, Cody Campbell, they are at odds.
Oh, no.
Who's going to win? Is it going to be the commissioner?
Or the money guy?
Or the money guy? Who's going to win this back and forth. Well, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, he snapped back at Cody Campbell, saying the chairman of the Texas Tech University System Board of Regents does not run the Big 12, after Campbell complained publicly about the conference and its television partners possibly moving this year's Texas Tech football game against Houston to a Friday night. Texas Tech was one of only 3 Big 12 teams that did not play a regular season game on a Friday night last year. Campbell says that's going to happen this coming season, and he does not like it.
Well,
Campbell posted this week on social media that the Big 12 and Fox Sports are looking to move the Texas Tech home game against Houston from September 19th, the Saturday, to September 18th, which is a Friday. He began his objection by writing that Friday night lights are sacred in the great state of Texas. He also took Yormark to task. This is a direct quote. I heard about this through the Tech football staff and our administration that it's going to be discussed, he told the Lubbock Avalanche Journal on Tuesday. They, the TV partners, have the draft, and the conference doesn't want to really acknowledge it, but they do have an ability to influence those decisions. They just chose not to because they were chasing ratings, which I do understand on one hand, but on the other hand, high school football is important in the state of Texas.
Well, why did I not hear? Maybe it was a big story. I heard nothing about this leading up the 6 months that we previewed Auburn and Baylor to open up in Waco.
Because it didn't involve Texas Tech.
Or 2 Texas teams? Is that what? I understand that it's important in the state of Texas, especially. It's very important here in the state of Alabama. But I can also remember when you've had times around the state playoffs here in the state of Alabama, and it just so happened to coincide
with
maybe
the SEC championship game.
Well, or a certain round of the playoffs with the Iron Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of those moved. Everybody just, you make arrangements. You pick one to attend in person if you want to attend one.
So after the comments from Cody Campbell, the Lubbock newspaper asked Yormark for a response to what Cody Campbell had said, and this is a direct quote from Brett Yormark. Cody Campbell does not run the Big 12. Our board and our ADs approve playing 12 games a year off of Saturdays in an effort to raise the profile, narrative, and viewership of the Big 12 football. Texas Tech hosting a primetime game on Friday night delivers that. Friday night Big 12 football games outperformed the conference's average rating by 64% in 2025. All of our schools are treated equally during the TV scheduling process, and this game fits within our scheduling parameters. I am thankful that our TV partners provide us with these opportunities. Now, regarding the exact social media post, Campbell said the following: I meant what I said. I told Brett Yormark I meant what I said. I'm not going to back down from it. I don't think, especially in the state of Texas, 2 Texas teams should be playing on a Friday night. It's different than it is in other parts of the country. End of quote.
Welcome to media rights agreements. So if you would like that check in your school to get their piece of pie, I know you have a lot of money, but unless you want to fund all of that yourself each and every year, they have to play along like everybody else in the conference. I was just doing some background. I figured that Cody Campbell had maybe a kid that was playing high school football.
I just like that Yormark stood up against him and said, hey, look, you're a businessman. This is good business for us. Why wouldn't we do it?
I mean, that stat is staggering. As you guys know, I'm a geek when it comes to these television ratings and whatnot. But the average rating is 64% higher of a Big 12 football game that airs on a Friday night than a Saturday.
Well, I mean, I know we're all busy on Friday nights, but if we weren't busy with high school football, I'd be much more likely to watch a whole Big 12 game on a Friday night than Saturday when you got a full SEC slate and a Big 10 slate.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, sorry, the product's not as good. I'm not,
You're adding to that. You're going to give me 2 relevant Big 12 teams?
Yeah.
I mean, Willie Fritz, he's not going to roll out trash at Houston. You know what Texas Tech has coming back. This is good for college football. It's bad for the billionaire.
Yormark, Cody Campbell does not run the Big 12. Cody Campbell, I meant what I said. I told Brett Yormark, I meant what I said. I'm not going to back down from it. I don't think, especially in the state of Texas, 2 Texas teams should be playing on a Friday night. It's different than other parts of the country.
Well, they're going to, so.
Yeah.
I just hate to see these 2 individuals at war.
You're right. This is juicy. This is good.
I just hate to see it.
Well, Cody Campbell, if he should have fired back on something at your mark, I would have brought up the Big 12 tournament court. I would have pulled that arrow out. I don't know how I would have cleverly put it in there, but.
Oh, are Tech and Houston going to play on an LED football field? Something like that?
Yeah, find other ways to increase your revenue. Like stupid ideas for courts that, I don't know. It was a thought.
Here's an idea. We'll be talking about all this about conferences. Why doesn't it, since Cody Campbell has more money than anybody else in the world, why doesn't Texas Tech just declare themselves independents?
Well,
build your own television network, do your own thing.
He could fund it, yeah.
It worked for Texas.
I'm sure Notre Dame would schedule them.
Yeah.
They're an independent.
Can play Notre Dame and UConn every year. It'll be great.
Would say Sac State.
Sign me up for that. More Sac State on a Friday night.
You think Cody Campbell, the energy, the new voice, some good ideas, proponent for college athletics, you think that's faded with some of these administrators? You think they're tired of hearing from Cody Campbell?
Well, the whole thing is you've got a situation where the tag wags the dog. And Cody Campbell believes that because of his money, whatever he says
well, because
goes.
his entire life, he's probably been able to pull out a pocketbook and make whatever he wants to happen. And now that's not the case.
How did that roster work out for him in the college football playoff? Did they score a point? Or did they score a field goal? What was the final score of that game?
I think they got shut out, didn't they?
I thought they did.
They scored the same amount of points as Lane Kiffin has playoff games that he's
Did
coached.
Alabama score more points against Indiana than Texas Tech scored?
Yes, they did. 3 more points.
3 more points, but they tripled the number of points that Texas Tech scored in the college football playoff. That's a good way to put it.
So did Texas A&M. They scored 3 points as well.
Man.
Oh, yeah, they did. Golly, that game. Whoa. Careful what you ask for.
At least it was competitive.
Yeah, it was competitive.
Alabama's was not.
I'm waiting for
it was a slobber knocker. See?
I'm waiting for Greg Sankey to go off on some big Texas oil man.
Well, I was going to say all the billionaires around here, they all get along.
Well, they have to because there's not a lot of them.
No.
In Texas, there's a million of them.
Yeah, there are a lot in the state of Texas.
Well, if you're in the state of Alabama.
I hope that continues, though, that feud, that back and forth.
Yes, I'm all for it. No question about it. Well, if you're a homeowner or a business owner in the state of Alabama, you need a roof that you can count on with all the changing weather situations that we have in our neck of the woods. It's time for you to call Abide Roofing for that free, no-obligation roof inspection. Give them a call, 205-577-7338. If you don't see any damage right now or missing shingles, those hidden damages can turn into an expensive problem. I did not see a problem at all from my sidewalk in front of my house, but I started getting leaking in my attic, and sure enough, I had some loose shingles. I had bigger problems all over my roof, but Travis Lloyd at Abide Roofing, he was able to get on my roof, identify the issues, and then dealt with my insurance company because they are the insurance claim masters at Abide Roofing. They're going to help you navigate the process, making sure that you get the coverage you deserve.